Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What's the next question? Neha? 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 Roll number 61. Neha? Dishan? Dishan? Roll number 120. If you are not ready to respond, I will remove from the class. Dishan? Nikita?
Yes, sir.
So what's the best step here?
Sir, we have to split the H1 feedback element.
Okay, afterwards.
Sir,
What about this feedback? Top?
so takeoff point should be left, shifted to left.
Left or right?
So right.
So we need to shift the takeoff point from left to right. So once you shift the takeoff point from left to right, what is the alteration for this feedback? Which element we need to add here?
To right.
Is it a multiplication or division operation?
Division operation.
So division means which element?
1 by G2.
1 by G2. Yeah. So whichever the element represented in this block, that should be acting as a division here. That is 1 over G2. So this is what the thing we need to do. So we need to split the H1 for the first summation point as well as for the last summation point, and then shift the takeoff point from left to right, so that it becomes 1 over G2. So then this is acting as a feedback. Write down the equation for that, and then this is in a series, and then these are in a product format. Write down the equations. So once it is in the series format, becomes G1 G2 divided by 1 plus G2 H1. So this can be written as, you can able to write down that as two summation points. For this we have 1 over G2 and the next feedback as H1. Negative feedback, this one as a positive feedback. So write down the equations for this. Positive feedback G divided by 1 minus GH, negative feedback G divided by 1 plus GH. What is the next question? What is the next question? Prabhanjan,
Yes, sir.
what's the first step here?
Sir, mark the feedbacks.
What?
Sir, sir, consider it as A and B.
Yeah, okay, then. So consider this as A and this one as B. So
Sir, and
here we have positive
oh,
symbol. What's output
sir,
here?
sir, B minus A.
B minus A. So across this position, for example,
Sir,
choose this as C. So what's the output here?
sir, C plus B minus A.
So C plus B minus A. So to do the alteration here for the next step. we have a G1. So here we have two summation points, so that I'm going to write down in horizontal. So here we have a B from G1 from G3. Is it plus or minus?
Sir, plus, sir.
So this one has plus. And here we have a H1. Where we need to connect H1?
Sir, across the,
Which summation point here?
sir, the next,
So across the next summation point. For the symbol here,
sir,
positive or negative?
sir,
Minus.
negative, sir.
Yeah. So now look at here. We have a C here, and then here we have a B, and this set position A. So here we can able to get it as once again C plus B minus A. In that manner, we need to do the alterations. What about G1 and G3? Is it a feedback or forward path?
Sir, forward plus addition, G1 plus G3.
So make it as G1 plus G3. And this one?
Sir, feedback.
So that one has a feedback path. So write down the equations.
So, G1 by 1 plus G1 into H1.
It's G2, it's not G1, G2.
G,
So here we have G1 plus G3. And then here we have G2 divided by 1 plus G2 H1. Here we have H2.
sorry.
So what about the next equation?
So, both are in product. So, multiply.
So both are in series, so make it as a product.
Series.
And I'm going to choose that as a temporary variable x. So these two are in a product format. So x is equal to G1 plus G3 into G2 divided by 1 plus G2 H1. So with this x divided by 1 minus x into H2. For that, what about G4? Is it a feedback or forward direction?
Forward.
So G4 is acting as a forward direction. So the final transfer function. So this one I'm going to choose it as Z. So Z plus G4 is the final transfer function. Substitute the equation for Z as well as for X and then simplify the equation. Simplification ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. Substitute the equations for z as well as for x, and then simplify the equations. ಆಯ್ತಾ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡೆ? The next question. Put on this. Shiv Prakash. Shiv Prakash.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's the first step here?
Split the summation point. H1 and H2. H3.
So before splitting the summation points, so this G1 and G2 are in parallel connection. Is it in a parallel connection, G1 and G2?
Yes, sir.
It will be in a parallel connection if we don't have any takeoff point here. So here we have a takeoff point. So where we need to shift this takeoff point?
To right.
To right or to the left?
Right, sir.
Is there any rule to shift the takeoff point to the right side of summation point?
ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾವ ಕಡೆ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? Where we need to shift this takeoff point.
Right, sir.
Right, ಯಾವ ಕಡೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀಯ? Summation point ಇಂದ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕೆ ಏನೋ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ? ಯಾವ ಕಡೆ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀಯ? ರೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ನನ್ ಕತ್ತೆ ಕಾಯ್ತದೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ದಿನ, 2-3 ದಿನದಿಂದ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳ್ರಿ, ನಾಟಕ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ. ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂತಿರ್ತೀಯ ಸುಮ್ನೆ. ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ಕೊಂತಿದ್ಯಾ ಇಲ್ಲ?
ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್.
ಏನ್ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ಯಾ? ಮತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿತ್ತು?
A and B mention.
ಅಷ್ಟು ಓದ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾಳೆ ನನಗೆ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ 2 o'clock ನನಗೆ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ನೀನು.
Yes, sir.
ಉಮೇಶ್,
Yes, sir.
what's the first step here?
H1 is shifted to left, sir.
So once we shift the H1 towards left side, what's the alteration for this block? For H1 block?
1 by G1, sir. Added.
Is it a product or division?
Division, sir.
Check it out properly. Check the first sheet of this chapter.
Multiplication, sir.
So H1 becomes H1 into G1. So all of you just shift the takeoff point from left to right. So once we shift the takeoff point from left to right, here we need to do some alterations. That is H1 into G1. So here we have a product format as H1 into G1. Write down. So this is the first step. At the same time, what about this G2 and G1?
Parallel, sir.
So parallel means, what's the equation for this?
G1 plus G2.
G1 plus G2. So at the same time, make this as G1 plus G2. Here it becomes G1 plus G2. Write on this. And this is in series with G3. This is in series with G3. So G1 plus G2 into G3. So in the next step, here G1 plus G2 into G3. So here, once again, we have a takeoff point. So that we need to shift to the right. So that these two becomes parallel, H1, G1 as well as G2, H2 becomes parallel. So that we need to shift this takeoff point from left to right. Once we shift the takeoff point from left to right, what's the alteration for this block? Is it a multiplication or division operation? So just observe this point.
Division, sir.
So this H1 G1 as well as this H2, both are in the same direction. Look at here, both are in the same direction. That indicates we can able to make this as a parallel connection, so that it is necessary to shift the takeoff point from left to right, so that it becomes like this. So this is the takeoff point, this is the first takeoff point, and this is the second one. So that H1 G1 whole divided by G1 plus G2 into G3. So now these two are in a parallel connection. So look at the summation point now. Afterwards here retained with H3. So these two are in parallel. Here it is minus for H2. So that it becomes G1 plus G2 into G3. And here we have a negative symbol. Just write down H1 G1 whole divided by G1 plus G2 into G3 minus H2, that is in a series with H3. So now these two blocks are in series, so just make it as a product here, and then it will be in a feedback, positive feedback for this block. So write on the equation. So those two are in series, make it as a product, and then with a positive feedback, write on the equation for that. So with this, I'm going to end the class today. So we'll continue in the next class. All of you just make a entry of your presence in the chat box. And Shiv Prakash, I will put you in absent. So once you answer my question, then only I will leave you to the class.
Okay, sir.
Those who have any doubt regarding this problem or previous problems, you can ask any questions here. ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳ್ಬೇಕು, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಏನು ಉಪಯೋಗ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಕೂಡ ಫೇಲ್ ಆಗೋದು, ನಾವಲ್ಲ.